Hey, it's Jared. I made $2,400 a month from a single client for 4 straight years. And it wasn't weddings, it wasn't portraits, and it completely changed how I think about running a photography business. If you're a photographer right now, whether you shoot weddings, real estate, portraits, whatever, and you're constantly stuck in the cycle of constantly chasing the next booking, I want to share something with you today that I wish someone had told me over a decade ago. The problem most photographers have isn't their work. Your work's good. The problem isn't your work. It's the business model that you've built around it. Here's what the photography business looks like for most photographers. And I know this because I lived it for years. You book a client, you do the work, you deliver, and you're done. You start over. You're back to posting on Instagram, networking, social media, sending email follow-ups, hoping the next inquiry comes in. The busy months, they feel amazing. You think you've got it all figured out, then winter hits, or a slow stretch, and suddenly you're watching your bank account drain, wondering if you should pick up a part-time job. I mean, there were months where I was turning down work, but then the next month, I was refreshing my email, hoping anyone would reach out. And the cycle can be exhausting. And the worst part is, the better you get at photography, the more frustrating it becomes because you know you're good enough. The work isn't the problem. So I started my photography business in 2005, and by 2008, I had 38 weddings booked for that year. Things were rolling along pretty well. Then the housing market crashed. 6 of those weddings ended up canceling. Inquiries also dried up, and I had also just gotten married, so the stakes were suddenly very real. The 2008 crash forced me to adapt. I'd been doing some real estate walkthrough videos on the side, and that work really helped fill the gap when wedding revenue dropped. It was the first time I realized that diversifying how I used my camera could actually save me if this was ever to happen again. Now, a few years into my marriage, our oldest son started preschool, and I kind of had a realization. If I keep building my business around weddings, I'm going to spend every weekend working. And that's not why I went out on my own. I wanted more time with my family, not less. One of my biggest breakthroughs at that time came because I brought my camera to a marketing conference that year. I shared some photos with the organizer afterward. They ended up hiring me for their next event. That turned into 3 to 5 conferences a year for the next 12 years. That's consistent, predictable work on my terms. And then COVID hit, and that wiped out conferences overnight. Again, something completely outside of my control disrupted the income that I'd been counting on. Every single time I built something stable, something seemed to knock it down, and every single time the answer was the same. Find a new way to use the skills that I already have. Around the time conferences disappeared, I'd taken some product photos for a client. This was a standard one-off job that I was used to, but then they needed lifestyle photos for social media. And then they had a few other requests. They wanted to post consistently, and they didn't want to have to negotiate a new project every single time they needed something shot. So we started with a retainer. It was small at first, but throughout that year, built up to $2,400 a month retainer that I can count on. I was creating photography and video, social media content for them on an ongoing basis. And that relationship lasted for 4 years. Now before that, I'd had other small retainer relationships. 3-month engagements, maybe $300 a month, maybe 6 months. It was helpful, but it wasn't life-changing. It was just here and there. It wasn't super consistent. This retainer was different. $2,400 a month, month after month, for 4 years. That's a real revenue stream you could build a life around. And here's what I didn't expect. Once my recurring revenue covered my base living expenses, I felt the stress that I'd been carrying for years physically leave my body. That constant low-grade anxiety of what next month would bring, it just lifted. I wasn't chasing bookings anymore. I wasn't hoping for new inquiries. I had a foundation, and everything I booked on top of that was a bonus, not a necessity. And to me, that was a completely different way to run a photography business. And I think most photographers don't even realize that it's an option. So here's something I want you to think about. There are businesses within a short drive of where you live right now that need visual content every single month. Restaurants, salons, gyms, boutiques, real estate offices, service companies, local brands, they need photos for social media, for their email marketing, for their website, for everything that they're doing. Most of them are either doing it themselves with an iPhone or a camera and trying to get it all figured out. They're paying someone who doesn't care as much as you would, and a lot of them would happily pay a photographer $500 to $2,000 a month if someone actually offered it to them. Now, as a photographer, you already have the skills. You probably already have the gear as well, and you already know some of these businesses in the community. The gap isn't ability, it's that no one ever showed you how to structure this kind of relationship. And that's the business model problem that I'm talking about. Photography education teaches you how to shoot. It doesn't teach you how to build recurring revenue. And that's what actually makes a photography business sustainable. So here's what I'm doing about it. I'm hosting a free live workshop next week, Wednesday, February 18th at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. I'll link to it down below. I'm going to walk through the exact framework for identifying local businesses that need content, how to approach them, and how to set up retainer relationships that work for both sides. And during the workshop, we're going to do something I'm really excited about, a live exercise where you audit your own local market in real time. You'll start spotting opportunities you're probably walking past right now. Businesses you drive by every day that need exactly what you know how to do. The link to sign up is in the description below, and it's free. You'll get a calendar invite with a meeting link so that you don't forget. I'm doing this because I've been where you are, and I know how isolating that feast or famine cycle can feel. You don't have to stay stuck in it. If you got value from this video, consider subscribing. I'm going to be making more content around the business side of photography, not just the gear and the technique, because the camera doesn't matter if the business doesn't work. So I'll see you at the workshop. Links in the description below. Take care.